Welcome to the Sith List WandaVision Episode 5 Breakdown and Explain, as we're calling it. We're going to try to explain that crazy, amazing episode. I'm Raj Dolachai, King Tom Chansky, and Les Gonzalez next to me. We're from the Sith List, and we appreciate you stopping by and hanging out with us to talk a little WandaVision. How you guys doing? King Tom, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fine. I am blown away in the best of ways by this episode. They kind of blended both the sitcom concept and the real-world MCU concept.
Right.
And, earlier on it was teased that there was a Luke Skywalker rescuing Grogu-type reveal going to happen in this series, and we got it.
Right. We got it.
Yeah.
We'll talk about if it's that important, which it could be because it opens a lot of things. Les, how you doing? I know we were up last night doing a reaction video. I slept in my same shirt. I'm on 3 hours of sleep. Brought the Samsonites back again for this episode. Was it worth it, Les?
Totally worth it. They are... I could see what the Luke Skywalker type of reveal meant, and damn.
Well, I thought that they did a perfect job of blending both worlds, like you said, King Tom, and how well that they pulled it off, and how it was like dramatic, it was creepy, there was anxiety, and it just meshed perfectly. Kudos again to Marvel, and for all those people that thought that they didn't like the first two episodes and now are jumping on board, welcome. We'll take you on the bandwagon. That's for sure.
Yep.
So, King Tom, let's break this thing down. What are some of your highlights? What are some of your best favorite moments in the episode?
Wow, there's a lot. We learned a lot about what's going on, or at least we think we did, where there is some mind control going on. All of the actors are being mind controlled, and Wanda is using her abilities to rearrange the molecular structure of things.
Crazy, yeah.
Wanda, or at least Vision, does not have any prior memory of his life. And somehow, people like Agnes kind of have an idea of what's going on because she mentioned wanting to know if they could do a retake.
Right.
But meanwhile, Vision's coworker had to kind of be taken out of his trance to say she is behind everything. He didn't say Wanda, he just said she, so it could be Wanda, it could be someone else. We found out that Vision's it appeared that Wanda stole Vision's body from wherever it was. The Sokovia Accords prevented its reanimation. She went outside the bubble, or the Hex bubble, and threatened Sword, and it looks like in this universe, maybe not Darcy and Jimmy Woo, right here, but it looks like everyone else, and of course Monica Rambeau, it looks like everyone else sees her as a villain, but they're willing to give her a chance.
Right.
Something leaked in an email form, and I think that was an email from Darcy because she mentioned she had a scientist friend who she was talking to. Somehow that ended up in the world. The two other big reveals here are the children are aging at will, and it's not necessarily Wanda's will, but it's the children who are aging on their own.
That was crazy.
Yeah, and then at the very end of the episode, a doorbell rings, they open it, and it's her brother, but not her brother from the MCU.
No.
Her brother, Peter, from the X-Men universe, the Quicksilver from the X-Men universe. And as they mentioned watching it, did they recast, and it was kind of narrowing it down who it was once you saw that shock of hair.
I'm going to pause it right there because I thought I edited one part out, but I thought, first of all, I said Michael Douglas because I thought they brought Michael Douglas back. And then I thought, oh my God, is that old man Cap? Like, is that old man Cap? It possibly could be. Wasn't ever thinking that they'd bring back, character from a whole different studio. So Unbelievable.
And, you know, Les said, of course, they're playing him kind of up as the wacky neighbor, wacky brother. I fell off my couch at that moment. But Les said on your review show or reaction show, this opens the door to so much.
Right.
And it's exciting.
Yeah, and exciting. And I love how they talked about how she recasted him. Which is super funny, super meta. Celeste, what'd you think? Not just about that, about the entire episode and
so
where this takes us.
I mean, obviously the episode was great, but it's what they've done. It's not only what they've done to end this episode; it's how they did it.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Never did any of us in any of our conversations since the quote acquisition of the Fox properties,
right.
None of us even thought of using Wanda as a way to bring the X-Men in to...
Except for Feige.
Except for him. Except for him.
And the story group.
And everybody else in the story group. They were like, look, someone was like, this is exactly how we do this. Her reality warping skills are just now starting. And the thing that I liked, too, was that they really talked about the fact that she's not really well known. She doesn't have a code name. You know what I mean? Like, there's Iron Man and Thor and Captain America.
What was that all about? Where I think, was he pushing for the Scarlet Witch thing? Like,
he was basically... they're gonna have to give her a new name at some point, and the Scarlet Witch is her code name.
Right. But why was he pushing so hard for him to say it?
I don't think he was pushing for him to say it. It felt more like, guys, we really don't know much. And we talked about it before on the Sith List podcast, and I've talked about this a few times. I think I've been consistent in the fact that, her timeline is totally different than everybody else's. Right. Everybody's been doing this for quite some time. Everybody's been, they've had certain tragedies. They've had some things that have been spread out over time. But her deal is like, okay, you've had a bomb in front of you for, while you and your brother clung to life. Now your brother's gone. As soon as you went through a villainous program and you were radicalized. Now all of a sudden your brother's gone.
Right.
Now you're probably the most powerful being on this planet. I mean, in Endgame, she single-handedly was holding Thanos down until he decided to go full Broken Arrow and obliterate the battlefield. That was the only thing he could do to get her off of him. Like, he's like, this lady's going to kill me. And now here she is, she's just lost, again, she's lost so much. And she's just like, everybody else is going back to whatever they have. They have something. The blip, which is, I think, is that going to be the phrase now? Is it going to be the snap and then the blip?
Well, in the last episode, they brought up the blip. When Monica Rambeau's walking back into Sword on the big screen, it says the blip brings two lovers back together or something. I don't know if you guys caught that.
Or is it going to be one of those things where it's an event that has multiple names and certain regional, because when Darcy goes, Vision's dead, he wasn't blipped. It's like, okay, that's a good thing.
I think that's what they're going to go with. I think that's what they're going to
Also, to build off of what Les was saying, if you look at it objectively from someone within the Marvel Universe, Marvel Cinematic Universe, she was involved in the whole thing in Sokovia. She was responsible for this accident that killed people in Lagos. She didn't sign the Sokovia Accords and was involved at that skirmish at the airport. Right. She was a fugitive on the run after that. I think what the guy was getting at when he was asking about her name, she looks like she's a villain. And,
a terrorist, as he says.
Right, a terrorist. We know better. Her superhero friends know better. Jimmy Woo, Darcy, and Monica know better. But this looks like an act of aggression. Right.
Absolutely. And what did you guys think about when they brought up the Captain Marvel name, and she had a funny look? And why was that look? Was that like she didn't want to talk about what she knows about Captain Marvel? Is she upset with Captain Marvel? Does she blame Captain Marvel for? Bless you.
Excuse me.
Does she blame Captain Marvel for why her mother got cancer? I don't know. I'm just throwing things out there. Any reason on that?
You're talking about Monica Rambeau, right?
Yeah. When they said, because they brought up the same point that you did, Les, that she pretty much took on Thanos on her own. And then
Jimmy Woo goes, well, I don't know, man. Captain Marvel.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, that was such a fanboy. Like, I think that was more of like a fanboy, fangirl type of just a thing. Because that's what's happening here is we're getting, what's the word? It's not parodied. Is a TV audience, the consumer audience is being represented in some way.
Right.
Previous episode, it was Darcy saying, look, I'm invested. And it's like, oh yeah, you've made it this far along in the series. You're invested in the show. And then we get this whole like, yeah, she kicked Thanos' butt. And it's like, well, Captain Marvel was having well, what about this character? You start getting like this like co-worker water cooler moment, which was kind of cool. I didn't really buy much or get much from that reaction.
Okay. I was just looking too much into it, maybe.
I thought it was a really cool moment. I don't think she was upset or anything. She was her mother's best friend. She saw her as her aunt,
right,
basically. And it was probably more, she's missed her these 20, however many years it's been that she's been gone. I don't think she blames her for anything that happened.
No,
with her. I could be wrong, but yeah.
The reference she made the previous episode where she says, "And we have allies up there." She's referring to her.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. All right. How about the scene? Les, you brought this up last night. The scene right here where Monica Rambeau meets them, and then she gets her analysis right here.
Those are blank. Like I said. Well, what about her labs?
I need to draw.
No.
And when you look at her labs, they're pretty much gone. So you had a theory about that.
I think she's getting her powers as photon.
Okay.
This is a great way, again, using the hex and using Wanda's I'm guessing her residual like radiation or whatever it is. Like there's something coming off of Wanda whenever she does some things. She didn't really hurt Monica Rambeau when she threw her through that, she expelled her from her bubble.
That's right.
But then again, coming back, being repelled through that might be the way she gets her powers. Being sent through that, because that's kind of what happened anyway. Some type of experiment happened, and she ended up becoming someone who can bend light and other energy to her, to her control, which is why she was one of her nicknames is Photon.
Right.
So
a cool little segue to get.
Yeah, man, that's really cool to give us that. This episode of episode 5 gave us so many different directions and so much more material for the next phase of the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah. Unbelievable. Really, really cool. My one last thing. My favorite scene in the entire show was this one right here.
It was so weird.
So weird and so well done, and she's trying to end the show, and she's trying to cut everything off, but Vision's not having it, right?
Yeah.
And his acting ability, by the way, Paul Bettany, both of them, actually.
Yeah.
Great scene. And this scene right here in particular.
This has to be from a comic. This has to be
so
from
good.
One of the comics, either House of M.
And seeing Vision lose his mind like that.
You don't want to know, I promise.
Will take a stand because that's right.
So
I think he was part of the deal, saying, "Listen, don't revive me if I ever come.
Right.
If I get."
I think
he
they
didn't
said
want to
it
be
was his
weaponized.
living will.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, great. And then Mephisto. Am I saying that wrong? Mephisto. I'm sorry, Mephisto. It looks like Mephisto is going to be a big, allegedly, storyline here, right? Like Mephisto might be possessing Wanda. Some people they're saying that he might be playing Pietro. So
I wouldn't. Okay, so I would say that his character is more of an opportunist. Mm-hmm. So maybe the Pietro angle. Or maybe, as far as controlling, maybe not, but what he's probably done is just said, okay, I'll give you what you want.
Right.
And what Wanda wants is to be left alone with her family.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So for Mephisto, it's like, fine, What's the real cost going to be?
Gotcha.
And is it going to be Wanda losing all of her sanity? Is it going to be Wanda being portrayed as a villain to the rest of the world? One or the other. Sorry, I got the hiccups.
That's right. It's perfect time to get the hiccups.
I think that would be a way of tying in the story, but I don't want Pietro, or because Peter in the X-Men verse, I don't want him being Mephisto. I want that being
Peter.
The first step of mutants into the MCU.
Me too.
You can't do that. You cannot.
Yeah, they can definitely do that.
I mean, no, what I'm saying is they can't, you can't
tease,
do that and then go, oh, it's Mephisto, it's Mephistopheles, and he's hanging around, and sorry guys, no, now that you've done that, you've just let us know that nothing is off the table. Absolutely
6 years
nothing
for all
is
those
off
movies
the table.
you want.
Yeah, exactly.
It is, again, it is not, actually it is. It's how they did it, and it's what they did. Like, you have to...
Well, and remember, the scientists that they talk about, that's going to come back. They didn't just throw that out there and not have the scientists come back and to figure out who that is. So maybe we will get Reed Richards as well. You know? Or we'll get, who knows? Or Michael Douglas. I'm pushing for Michael Douglas constantly.
You want Hank Pym. Okay. That works.
No, I just thought it was Hank Pym in the back.
I tried to hold my excitement to see till we got to the face, because it could have been, you're right, it could have been Old Man Cap, it could have been Dr. Pym, it could have been anybody.
There it is. Michael Douglas. Old Man Cap. Nope.
I wanted to see that it was I thought it was a version of Magneto with the silver hair.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because I was like...
and someone said that on the Sith List.
That's right.
Sith List.
That's right.
So I was like, oh, wow, they're really going to do this. But not only that, did we get the, like, New Jersey, like, Mama Luke kind of thing, right? He's like, you get a freaking bug around here or something? You're like, oh, that's
You know what's interesting
great.
on our podcast? One of our listeners sent an email and predicted this exact moment. I don't know if you remember. Somebody predicted that it was going to be him. So kudos to our Sith List. I remember who it is, but our Sith List listener. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming on board and watching and breaking this thing down with us. Man, it's going to be an amazing last 3 episodes. 3 episodes left. And I'm so glad they didn't release 5 and 6, because there's rumors that 5 and 6 were going to come out. I'm glad that they left this as a cliffhanger, and we're going to figure out what we're going to do. I believe the Halloween episode is going to be
we're going to get Quicksilver in like 2 more episodes.
We think we're getting Quicksilver.
We have to. You have to.
We might be getting the actor that played Quicksilver.
And to know that they're going to do this ties into like that whole multiverse of madness movie concept.
Right. And
this is
awesome.
awesome.
Feige said that that's what this show is going to do. It's going to literally open the door. He opened the door to this. So well done, Kevin Feige, and all of you wonderful Marvel store people. Well, guys, again, thank you so much for watching with us. If you guys like the breakdown, you guys want to watch reactions, we definitely reacted last night. That was a moment. Please subscribe, click that little ding button, and come on board every week with us. And also, our podcast, The Sith List, is out there wherever podcasts are enjoyed. We'd love to have you on board on that one as well. So for Les and King Tom, we'll catch you next week on episode number 6 of WandaVision here on The Sith List.